Okay, ready for a little bit more of this? We're going to talk about the third week in this. This is another episode of The World According to Gwen. Little series going on about relationships or sacred ground, because I'm going through the splits, one of the hardest splits that I've been through in many years. And I'm using this to kind of process it for myself. Trying to use my thinking brain, not just my emotional brain. So, we're going to talk about the third week. But before we talk too much about the third week, we're going to talk about the second week for a little bit. I don't know why I don't have any text messages about it. My best thinking is that it's because we decided to do it all over the phone. And that is that in that second week, probably towards the end of that week, maybe on Thursday, I took Will to meet my dad and my brother and some very close friends of mine, super close. And because I was like, hey, I finally found my mate, and come on, meet my dad. My dad's not in great health, and it was a good way. It was a good way to spend the day. So we go driving around, and we drove like over most of Central Florida. That's a light going off in here. So then, ooh, that was funny, huh? It's not too dark, is it? I think I like it. So we go to meet my dad, and we're driving back beachside. And I'm talking to my daughter, who's in Hawaii. Yeah, it had to have been that week because she was in Hawaii. And my happy self driving his truck on the interstate. I already told you that I speed a little bit. That's the way I break the law. And I'm very, very happy talking with my daughter. And that law of attraction thing, everything's gone along good. You can feel like when you're in the flow of things or not. And I was kind of close to the truck in front of me because traffic was kind of building up and stuff. And my mate is like, hey, you need to watch what you're doing there. He said it in a very nice manner, but basically he did not like my driving. And I could remember thinking at that moment, dude, you are jealous because I am having a very happy time talking to my daughter, and you don't have good relationships with your son. And he had lost a daughter in a car accident, so I can understand, some hot buttons around there. But there was just something in the feeling, because even as we had been driving through the day, he was making comments about how he didn't have enough money for me. Like, finally I found the woman of my dreams, but do I have enough money to keep her? And I was just kind of laughing, because I was like, this is not about money to me. And so there had been some touchy spaces through the day. But that driving thing, and so he was mad about, he says he was mad because I was driving recklessly and of course endangering his life. And I say you're overreacting because I am driving. I am an excellent driver, even though I do follow closely, which everybody would say. And touch wood, thank God. It's been okay, my driving. But the tension in the truck just got like so high. And so I pulled over at the next toll booth, and I was like, what is it? I don't remember if he started saying words to me or what, but I just remember it was bad. And I remember we stopped on the interstate, and he kind of came unglued for a little while. Why would you do that? You wouldn't listen to me. You weren't listening to me. You weren't listening to me. You wouldn't pay attention to what I was saying. I was clearly getting upset, and then you withheld affection. You wouldn't hold my hand. You wouldn't touch me. You wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't try to soothe me. And I was like, number one, I don't usually hold hands with very much anybody when I'm driving. Not that there's been much opportunity to do that. And number two, like, this is seeming like way too much for what it is. And you know, so there's like the point that I'm getting at in saying all that is, this is like the third or fourth episode in 2 weeks of like red flags or loose screws, or I don't even know what to call it, that I had recognized. Some people might look at this, because I'm sure he would look at this and say, oh, those are false memories. No, they are fucking not. No. Nope. And then, no. I've had this thing messed with, and not messing with that anymore. No, that is what happened. My side of what happened. Remember, we've already talked about it. There's 3 sides. My side, his side, and the all-seeing side. And that's what I got to say about that. So coming into the 3rd week, and I realized that happened because as I was reading over the text messages for the 3rd week, I made a joke to him about that I was driving and I could talk to him and drive at the same time, and that I wasn't following anybody too closely in traffic. And I was like, oh yeah, that must have already happened. But then what happened was that we made arrangements to get an Airbnb for a couple of days. That I had to work, but he was off, but so that we could spend time and together as much as we could. Later in the 3rd week, all of the beginning of the 1st week is beautiful. In fact, I even found the one where I say to him, I'm like, what have you done to me? And he goes, it's love. Love is magic. And, oh, how is this? My love is magic. I'm happy to finally have an appropriate place for my formidable emotion. Yeah, that was on Tuesday, the 25th. So we're going to stay in this Airbnb on Wednesday night, the 26th and the 27th. I make all these arrangements. I get there on the 26th, and it was everything went really, really well on the 26th. It was a good opportunity for us to just kind of be together and see how everything went, and it was good and nice. I remember feeling kind of weird because I like to cook, he likes to eat, and I wanted to make good food for us. But the way that place was not stocked, it just did not turn out that way. But with potatoes and onions and garlic and probably something else, but I can't think of what it was. Anyhow, that was good. I had to work on Thursday. He was off for the day, and the plan had been that he was going to enjoy the day off, but he was really wanting to go to yoga. Like, since we had been coming together over these few weeks, and since been talking the past month, yoga. When are we going to go to yoga together? We got to go to yoga. And so I was like, well, hey, there's Helena's studio is right here in Melbourne. You can go. While I got to go to work, go. He hadn't been in a while. He wasn't necessarily super comfortable and happy at his home studio. And go see Helena. And I'm at work all day Thursday. I get home. I'm thinking he's spending the day going to yoga, maybe going to the beach, maybe seeing some other people or things in Melbourne, going to the health food store, whatever. I come home from working home to this place. I come to this place Thursday night after working all day, and It's messy, like not filthy, just messy, and he's kind of thin man, and I don't even see him anywhere. I see the truck is there, and it's messy, and so as it turns out, he was like curled up in the bed, sheets over his head, and when I realized that he was there, I was like, oh my God, this is what it could possibly be like regularly. And it's because the guy still likes to drink beer, although not much, and smoke pot, although not that much, and smoke cigarettes, although not that much, and something else that I'm not going to discuss here. But all of these things are like, he's like, well, I'm not planning on continuing to do all that. And so it's like promises in the future of cleaning up. And I've been kind of stunned with myself over the couple of weeks that I'm even in a relationship with somebody who does any of these things. Like, clearly I didn't have healthy boundaries intact. But was curled up in the bed like that, and the place was like, not trashed, but just messy, like just kind of laying around, dishes not washed, and all kinds of stuff. And I'd been working all day, and I remember when I came in, and I was like, oh man, like you hear those stories about, one mate is all jacked up, and the other one's trying to hold everything together, and I was like, oh God, like this is what it could be. And I was like, oh Gwen, this is not good. And so I'm like, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, I got my keys locked in the truck, and I spent hours and hours trying to get my keys out of the truck instead of just calling the locksmith, which he ended up having to do, and never did make it to any of the yoga classes. And I was, and basically, some days you're the bug, some days you're the windshield. This particular day, he had been the bug, and I could see, I shouldn't say I could see, I'll say that what I saw was that his own ego and own expectations that he did not meet and fulfill that day just like totally overwhelmed him, and he was like, oh, and just came inside and took a nap. He probably needed a nap too. And as I was looking at this, the text messages over these couple of weeks was also when I started staying up until 11 and 12 o'clock at night talking with him, even if I had to get up and go to work the next day. And I'm not usually like that. I'm like, I like to go to bed at 10, get up about 6, and that extra couple hours really started to catch up and add up to me. And so that happened at the Airbnb, and that night did not go so well. It was just the realization, and because I did have to work the next day, I didn't want to get in a big long topic or discussion about it because I need sleep. But I couldn't really sleep because it's this unspoken kind of tension kind of stuff. And and so that's what happened in the third week Airbnb, those couple of nights. And then the Friday night was when we went up took him to meet my oldest daughter, who was down in town from North Carolina, and we all met in New Smyrna, and this had been something we had all been planning on. And this when things started to really get tricky after that. So that'll come in the next video. I don't know, like it was hard reading over those first few weeks, and it just makes me feel like love, all over again. And kind of has me thinking like, shit, should I even be doing this for the little bit of emotional roller coaster that it is putting me on? But I am. That's what I'm doing. Thanks for walking this out with me. It's about to get even more clear, I think. Okay, ciao.